look at that. What is it? It looks like it's doing 100 mile an hour sat there, doesn't it? I don't even know how you pronounce it, really. A Tomaso Longchamp. Never heard of one, mate.
What Paul was trying to say was Tomaso Longchamp, an Italian supercar from 1979. It's one of only 400 made, with a few bits that look familiar.
It looks like a Mark V Granada. The top bit, good Lord, you need two hands to lift the bleeding bonnet. Rover V8 in there, look.
How do you know that's Rover V8?
Well, I might be wrong, but location of the distributor. Rocker covers look like Rover. It just looks like a Rover V8 to me. And I reckon the base car is a Granada, but I'll stand to be corrected because that pillar looks very much like Cortina, Granada.
Alejandro de Tomaso wasn't your typical car maker. A Formula One racing driver and businessman from Argentina with big ideas and very little restraint. His first big hit was the Man Augusta, styled by Giugiaro and billed as one of the most exciting high-performance sports cars to arrive on the scene for years. After that, the Pantera, a wedge-shaped missile with a Ford V8 that sold well in the US and was a motoring superstar. Paul was wrong about the Rover engine, but right about some Granada bits. That V8 engine was the same as in Starsky's Ford Torino. The tail lights were by Alfa, and yet it all looked a bit lancier. Sounding like thunder in an Armani suit with Versace wing mirrors, it's a bit mixed up, and how you say, excessivo.
It's weird, isn't it? Yeah, that's a strange car, isn't it, that? Hey, Mickey, what's the base car under here?
It sounded lovely.
Had it running? Give her a pump. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's be fair, restored up, revamped, recommissioned, all the rest of it. If you park that next to that Aston Martin, I know which one everyone would look at. It wouldn't be that Aston Martin. They'd all go at that. Everybody. Because it's got stance, isn't it? It's, ooh, yeah.
Will its stance and oddball allure bring in the big bucks?
Hang on, woo-woo. Just because it's a rare car doesn't mean it's a really valuable car. Sometimes, yes, sometimes no. I had in my head 12 to 15 grand. That's what I had in my head.
Got a lovely signs again, as usual. One or two nice original ones there, which should do OK. Oh, yeah, it's looking all right, isn't it?
With auction day underway, it's time for a rare Italian treat.
1979, Di Tomaso there. We've got lots of bids here. We've got lots of bids very, very, very close to each other.
Okay,
So we've got 8,009, 9,000, 9,000,
9,000, gone to 10,000 on the internet.
We have
10,300.
At 10,3, 10,4, 10,5. 11,000.
We're to the 11 now, yeah. We're to the 11 now.
11,001.
You don't want it, no.
Netherlands at 11,3, 11,4.
Yep.
At £13,000 on the table at 13. At 13,001.
Engine's been running, sounds lovely.
Father's had the engine running, said it sounds lovely.
Good luck to someone, but a 20 grand car there.
13,003. 13,8. 13,9. £15,000 at 15,1.
Like this scenario,
17.
there's two guys on the computer there, isn't there?
At 17.
Just amazing.
Keep it going, Dave. I've got money on this.
Have you? 17,9.
20 grand.
You imagine doing this with pigeons. Used to be pigeons, didn't it? All this, you know, you couldn't send a signal, it had to be pigeon, had to take it. Amazing, isn't it? And we've come all the way from about 12,000 to 18 whatever, 18.5 in £100 bids. Yeah, which, from our point of view, you're like, but there's two guys there thrashing it out, isn't there? You know, simple as that.
Third and last time when the hammer's down, it is gone. I can't stress that enough. 18,7. Sold, £18,700.
There you go, 18.7. All the way in £100 increments.
It's a silly story. I really got into collecting cars because primary school, we used to get a bus to go swimming. And we used to go past a high-end car dealer. They used to do Jensens, and I used to love the sound of them as we went past on the bus. As a sort of 5 or 6-year-old kid, I said, one day I'm going to have one of those. So my first collectible car was the Jensen Interceptor convertible, and I still own that car today. I still use it today.
In Oxfordshire, Steve Grove's collection extends from the esteemed to the exotic.
I own a Tomaso Pantera, which is a 2-seater sports car, 1973. Very unusually, this one is right-hand drive. I think if you asked my teenage daughter, she would tell you it's fast and loud.
And now, he's bought his sporty Tomaso a stablemate.
Bidding on it was quite fierce. I think it went for about 3 times the estimate. However, 3 times the estimate's probably about right for it. I'd done my work and worked out how much it was going to cost me to get that Longchamp back to where it needed to be. And I had in mind a value that I would go to, and actually we were below it at the end.
Steve's no stranger to restoration. A couple of years ago, his Pantera was also a fixer-upper.
The plan for the car from here is to actually take it back to factory spec. In terms of colour, is to go back to the factory colour, which was a metallic silver. The thing that attracted me to the car is the opportunity to save a pretty rare car in a way that was actually financially viable. One of the interesting things we found as we've gone along is in relation to the body kit. What became very clear is it was made at home in a garage. It was substantially expanding foam filler and wood. And glued onto the car. I think it was a show car more than anything else. I think they took it to modified car shows and hot rod shows.
So the big job has been to unpimp this ride.
You can see the body kit's off, you can see what's underneath. The shape's there now. And the body kit was so deep, so they had to build an extension to the petrol flap. You can see from here, it means that body kit was probably 2 inches deep at the back.
Spoiler alert.
I mean, literally, this was just glued on. The original wheel arches are actually still here. They've been bent up and they've been cut to allow the foam to be stuck into it. Still the odd residual bit there. These were original Tomaso Campagnolo wheels, which we found on eBay. A lot of filler in here, not yet sure what's underneath that. And again, you can see what they've done is they've bent up the original wheel arches and used that as a base for the body kit. We've got 4 new wings, a new bonnet and new wheel arches. It took a while to trace them down, so there's a very active owners group, and then over a period of months, a little Aladdin's cave appeared of things that are stuck in people's garages. The headlights aren't right and aren't original. These would have been large single lights, actually in common with the Ford Granada from that era. And then you can see what they've done here to the bonnet, which is they've cut this to form a vent shape, and then to actually keep it elevated and raised, what we found when we took the body kit off was actually they just propped an old screwdriver under it and glued it in. I expect that bonnet's unsavable, but we found a new one there. Mechanically, there was actually a fairly limited number of modifications done to this car. The engine is essentially a Ford V8, so it's pretty easy to get parts for. To be fair, though, actually, the interior is not bad. Original headlining, which is quite rare. It has a stamped pattern on it. So whilst it looks pretty rough, actually, there's nothing in here that scares me.
Steve's only fear?
When I did the assessment of this car before buying it at auction, the bit that worried me was the rust that runs under the back from sort of around that wheel arch and across the car. And in places, it's structural, so we'll have to do some work on those. And it will end up, quality-wise, very similar to the Pantera that sat next to it. And then, frankly, they'll hopefully live a happy life together next to each other in my garage. And which one gets used will depend whether I'm feeling angry and aggressive or calm and relaxed. It's the last time this is ever going to sit on this car. I'm going to go and stick it on the office wall and it's going to stay there. I've got a gift for you.
Yeah, I'll hang that back up on the...
It's up there on the wall of shame.
Better up there than on the car. It's never going on the car again.